everyone to a new episode of our show. In today's, of course, episode will be knowing more about women achievement and how do they, let's say, reach towards their goal and of course to their career and their life.
Dr.Vadhana is a dentist and active woman working in one of the leading dental specialty hospitals here in Kuwait. Dr. Vadhana always has her motive and passion for her work and patients and work around the clock to reach her goals.
And we are back, dear viewers, to welcome our guest with us. We'd like to welcome Dr. Vadhana. We're really happy to have you here.
Thank you. It's truly a pleasure to be a part of this Glamour Woman show. Being a feminist, I always wanted to share my views and ideas to all other women. I think this is a great opportunity for me.
Yes, and of course, we're really happy to have you here today as our guest. Talking about, of course, we will be introducing you more to the audience about, let's say, your background, your career, and why did you choose it. So starting with the following, let's say, what made you choose dentistry? Especially that everyone would say this is more of a challenging career, dealing with dental and dealing with people and everything. Tell us about that.
I'm very fortunate that I chose dentistry as my profession because dentistry is really a good profession and it's a good choice for women who want to maintain a work-life balance.
Yeah.
In the last centuries, if you see, dentistry has come a long way, but now we are really witnessing a lot of females choosing dentistry as their profession. To talk about my career, I did my undergraduation from Annamalai University in India. And I did my post-graduation in Meenakshi Ammal Dental College and I did my diploma in University of Geneva. From all these years working as a dentist, I have enjoyed helping my patients to get relief from their pain and give them back their smile confidently. Yes. Because as a root canal specialist, most of my patients come to me with pain. Or a broken tooth structure. So I'm so privileged and happy to give them back their health, like they are able to eat and they are able to drink as like before. And when they say it's really a magical thing that there is no pain, I feel so proud of it. And also dentistry is nowadays developing at a skyrocketing level, I should say. Yes. Because the amount of equipments and instruments what have been discovered each and every day is enormous. And so I couldn't wait to see the future store for dentistry. Yes. So really dentistry is a good profession, particularly yes. for women, I would say.
And I really agree with you because the amount of development that happened within the years, like being a regular patient to dentist,
yes.
by myself, dealing with everything when it comes into all of the equipments, even when it comes into X-ray, we used to move from a room to a room, and now everything that you provided within the room itself. Talking about your career, especially a specialization in root canal. Now, this is also one of the challenging, let's say, maybe specialties because it is very sensitive. You're dealing with the teeth itself into a certain deep situation. Why did you choose that specialty? Like, is it a story behind it, or did you, let's say, find yourself within such a specialty?
Actually, I always wanted to go to a profession where I want to help people to get rid of their pain. Rather than going into a cosmetic side, I always wanted to go where I can really see the patient's happiness in their face. So I chose this as my specialty because from the beginning of my undergraduation, I always wanted to be a root canal specialist. And this is my most, I like this subject very much from the beginning.
So, doctor, when it comes into your career and the years that you've actually worked within this field itself, did you find it really challenging? Because people do say working as a dentist is something needs more time. It consumes, let's say, your time away from the family, home, and so on. And especially when it comes into female, we've seen that everyone, even the society, whether here in Kuwait or in different countries, they would actually ask women to choose a career that won't consume her time away from her home, because in the end, she's the one who's responsible of everything.
Yes.
So how do you feel that so far within the years that passed during your career?
To speak generally upon women working, it's really it's not that easy to compete with men, because women are facing a lot of issues starting from marriage life, pregnancy life, post-pregnancy. They face a lot of cultural issues, generational norms, and they are moving upon hurdles and hurdles in an amplified manner. So they had to work at least 10 times more than a man to attain this gender equality, you know. I did not choose this profession because it's easy for me or something like this, because I liked it and it's my passion. So I took this as my job.
Yes.
But dentistry is not a job where you have to leave your family for a long time and you will lose your family time, or it's not like that. I feel it's very comfortable to maintain a work-life balance. So without family we are not beautiful, but this profession gives us something boldness. So I wish this dentistry gives me, I think this profession allows me to be both bold and beautiful. So it's very suitable for women, I will say.
And I really do like how do you actually phrase it by saying bold and beautiful, like combining these two together, because indeed I really totally agree with you in that perspective. We do actually, let's say, reach to a point where men and women are actually working at the same job, companies, even specialties, and they actually proven themselves in that society and in that vision that even they could be, let's say, so compatible to the other gender. And it's not more of a gender, it's more of what you can achieve and can prove within the field itself. So reaching to the point where today, how do you evaluate this kind of vision, especially working in this field with the other gender? Is it more of now, let's say, everyone is not compatible to each other, everyone is, let's say, having a woman and presenting her as, let's say, the, for instance, the best doctor of the month and so on? Is it, let's say, more of a, that gives men jealousy, or is it something equal now?
This is a great topic actually. This gender equality is a great topic. Until now, if I say there is no male domination and there is no suppression of feminism, which means it's a lie. For sure, it is there until now. Women are keeping on fighting to get their position until today to attain this gender equality. As I said earlier, women are working hard 10 times more than men to get into this position. If you see in Asian countries and African countries, when you see in the schools the amount of pass out, which means the percentage of higher marks, if you see in the schools, the girl children get more higher. Also in the colleges, if you see a lot of gold medalists and all the highest marks will be girls. But when it comes to work, how many CEOs are there? How many managing directors are there? How many female lead roles are there in the institutions? It's really less. But still, one hope is that this gender inequality has come a little bit down when compared to the previous years. It is developing because women all have come to a state that they are good at education and they are listening to a lot of talks. They are inspired by many other successful women. So nowadays they are still keeping on fighting, and I think each and every woman have to fight to get to their position to attain this gender equality.
Yes, indeed. And of course, when we're talking about it through fighting, we mean it as in improving yourself and showing to the world itself that you could be a best educator, you could be a best doctor, and of course you could achieve all of that by being so committed to all of the things that you're actually thinking on reaching and so on. Dating also, let's say, remembering the past. It's always good to remember the years of college and the years that was spent during that time.
Okay.
Tell us more about it, since of course you've graduated from India, therefore
Yes.
you have another experience. Maybe you'd like to share it to the audience.
Yes. To share my personal experience, I feel it might be an inspirational story to another woman. To share my personal story, to start with, I got married at the age of 20 when I was doing my undergraduation, because I come from a marriage fixated society.
Yes.
And I had my elder son at the age of 21. So I had too many roles. I had to be a good daughter, I had to be a responsible daughter-in-law, I had to be a sweet mom for my son, I had to be a good wife. In spite of too many roles, I had one vision. I didn't get deviated from the vision that I had to pass my, I had to come out of colors in my undergraduation. So I passed it. And we came back to Kuwait. I had my second son and we came back to Kuwait in the year of 2008. But something I felt it's missing. I couldn't succeed in my life as a dentist, or I couldn't say that I'm done and I feel satisfied. So then I realized I had to do more research upon this dentistry. I had to know more. I had to read a lot. So I went again to India to do my post-graduation with two small kids, leaving my husband behind here for the financial stability. I went through a lot of ups and downs.
Yes.
You know, it's unimaginable having two kids and renting a house there, and it was very difficult for me to, it was a long process for almost 3 years.
Yes.
But I feel proud that I was a gold medalist in my post-graduation, and also I was awarded as a Young Achiever Award from the Indian Dental Council.
Yes.
I should always thank my professors, but I had a female professor, Dr. Nandini. She was my inspiration. She always taught me there is no difference between male and female when it comes to the profession.
It was a really interesting story that you just told us about, and of course we're going to discuss it more, but dear viewers, we're going to head to a short break and then we'll be back.
Hello, welcome to our segment. Today we will talk about the life coach. From beginning, what is a life coach? A life coach is a type of wellness professional who helps people make progress in their lives in order to attain greater fulfillment. Life coaches aid their clients in improving their relationships, careers, and day-to-day lives. Life coaches can help you clarify your goals, identify the obstacles holding you back, and then come up with the strategies for overcoming each obstacle. In creating these strategies, life coaches target your unique skills and gifts by helping you to make the most of your strategies. Life coaches provide the support you need to achieve long-lasting change. Who should consider working with a life coach? Many people seek out life coaches for guidance in navigating a significant life change, such as taking on a new career. In plenty of cases, however, people turn to life coaches simply for help in building a happier, more meaningful life. There are a number of indications that working with a life coach could be helpful for you. These signs include high levels of stress, inability to break bad habits, lack of fulfillment in your social life, persistent feeling of dissatisfaction at work, sense of blocked creativity. In recent years, life coaches have acquired a considerable presence in the mainstream. Indeed, a growing number of creative executives are now teaming up with life coaches to attain success in their professional and personal lives. Types of life coaches. Some life coaches take a more general, all-encompassing approach, but there are also many that specialize and focus on helping people in specific areas. Some of the different types of life coaches include addiction and sobriety coaching, business, executive and leadership coaching, career coaching, dating and relationship coaching, diet and fitness coaching, divorce coaching, family life coaching, financial coaching, health and wellness coaching, life skill coaching, mental health coaching, and the last one's sport coaching. Now we will talk about the difference between a life coach and a therapist. Although there may be some overlap in the benefits of working with a life coach and participating in psychotherapy with a licensed therapist, these professionals have a distinct roles and serve unique purpose. Unlike life coaches, therapists, and other mental health professionals focus on healing, treating mental health conditions, and helping people work through trauma and other issues from their past. While working with a life coach may help you to deal with certain unresolved issues, life coaches cannot treat mood disorders, addiction, or any other mental health condition. Therapists have a degree and are licensed mental health professionals. They must follow an ethical code and adhere to regulation regarding confidentiality and ongoing education. Life coaches, on the other hand, are not governed to a board but don't have to comply with the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Its privacy rules to help protect your personal health information. To that end, a life coach should never be considered as a substitute for a mental health professional. What a life coach can do for you. One of the main benefits of working with a life coach is the ability to gain a fresh, informed perspective on problems that you face. In addition on offering a new insight into challenge, a life coach can help you to zero on navigate. A life coach can help you to zero in negative patterns that could be standing in the way of your success. Many people view working with a life coach as a means of bridging the gap between your current circumstance and the life you would like to lead.
And we're back, dear viewers, to continue our interview with our guest, Dr. Vadhana. Of course, reaching and talking about that experience that you had going back to India from Kuwait and trying to study and continue your specialization. I didn't think it's going to be that challenging because I've always thought going back to the country would be really easy, surrounded by the family and friends in order for you to, let's say, continue in your career. So it was really interesting to know about that, yes, itself.
Yes.
So dealing also with your work here in Kuwait, of course, being as a foreigner and in a different country would be really challenging. Tell us about the story once you reached here, and how did you actually, let's say, pick the country itself?
Actually, my husband, he got a job in the year of 2009.
Yes.
And as I told earlier, we came here and then I found I couldn't be successful. I went back to do my
Yes.
post-graduation. So I started my career in 2015 in Kuwait.
Mm-hmm.
It was really tough for me to learn Arabic. In
Yes.
the beginning, I had really tough time with my patients because I couldn't understand. I was always having an assistant to translate for me
Yes.
from the patients, and they were translating. I was talking something wrong, and then I learned.
Yes.
So it was a long process, but now I'm a little bit fluent enough to converse with the patients regarding dental terms. That was the only challenge I faced, but otherwise this country, I feel it's very well developed with regards to dentistry.
Mm-hmm.
So all the equipments, whatever I need, everything, it's in my
Provided,
clinic,
yes.
it's provided, and I'm so fortunate to be in Maidan Clinic, which is one of the good prime dental clinic. So it was not that difficult as I expected, other than
Yes.
this language barrier.
Yes. But of course, in each career beginning, there is always the challenges. Challenges, but
True.
it's really good to hear that it wasn't that much, but only with the language itself. And to be honest, it is something also nice to learn, nice to experience.
Yes.
So I'm really
True.
glad that you actually reached to a point where you can actually,
Yeah.
let's say, have these words to assist you in that perspective.
True.
Now, dealing about your career, especially working in dentistry, it is one of the toughest point where you have to deal with a patient that has a root canal issue.
Yes.
Because the amount of pain and the amount that the patient has to be with you working with the teeth itself is actually consuming. So tell us about that, like how do you can, let's say, evaluate and tell us about your experience in that field.
Each and every job has pros and cons. Similarly, in dentistry, we do have tough times. Like we do face some challenging cases, or we do have tough times where we really lose our sleep at the nights thinking about those cases. Basically, but when the patients say that they are relieved from the pain, ultimately, bottom line is that we are so happy at the end of the day. Sometimes we do have to spend a lot of time with nervous patients, with phobic patients. But ultimately, at the end, I'm really happy to be a dentist.
Yes,
you know?
and it's really great to hear about that, because to be honest, like I've had so many root canal, let's say, treatment, and one of the challenging things that faced me, like I don't have problem with the dentists themselves, but being pregnant and having to treat a root canal within, let's say, a very, let's say, in the 8 last months of pregnancy is something really tough, and not only for the patient, but also for the doctor him or herself. Dealing with so many varieties of patients is something really challenging, but it's really good to hear that everything is under control. But also when it comes into, aside of being a doctor, you're also a mother, a wife. You need your, let's say, time for yourself, time for your leisure time. What do you actually do in that time itself?
Most of my leisure time I spend in physical activity. I like to go to gym. I like to do yoga. Yoga is the one which keeps me running every day, energetic. Also, I do spend time in going out like all other women. We do have less time when compared to the other women, but we do spend time with our kids, and it's really a tough job to maintain this work and life balance. But somehow, fortunately, God has given me the energy to run.
So also when it comes into the society, maybe you'd like to tell us about your contribution as a woman in the society itself.
Okay, to talk about the contribution to the society, maybe at present it might not be at a bigger level, but I'm a woman who always wants to throw ideas towards women empowerment and also towards the female education. We have some ideas. We have formed a group, irrespective of working women and non-working women. We have already formed a group, and we have some ideas, and I think in near future we will implement those ideas to work upon the women empowerment. At present, we are as women, we are in a group. We share our ideas, whatever it may be, a bitter experience or maybe a sweet experience. We share our ideas in the group. If any of the women is facing any problem, we try to solve it. Like if I have a problem and I'm facing that problem, it looks like really a heap of mountain. But when I have a bunch of women behind me to help me, they try to analyze the problem and they try to do the research and they come out with all the solutions. So it's very easy. So this is what we expect. Like each and every woman should extend their helping hands to all other women. So it's very easy for us to compete in this world.
Yes, indeed, and this is something very important to highlight and of course to talk about, because it is something really, of course everyone would say that having nowadays the society itself, having all of these updates that are actually happening here is something very positive, and we don't need such, let's say, empowerment, but to actually think about it in a way of education and how important it is, and to highlight the advance of it is something really important, not only associating in the country itself, but also in the region and of course in the world, because working with lots of organizations is something really good, and it is something very positive at the same time. So when it comes into your time here, especially being in the Indian community, and also it is one of the, let's say, biggest community that we have here in the country, do you, let's say, tend to have some visits to the events that are actually happening when it comes into the community? How do you actually, let's say, work on it in that field? Because as we know, dentist is, let's say, more of a working a lot, especially in a clinic, that you have to come in the morning and appointments and so on. So tell us, like, do you have the time to actually balance and attend these?
Even if we don't have time, we have to spend some time for this, because unfortunately when you see there is a global woman, this girl-child educational crisis. Almost 62 million girls are unable to read and write because they are not able to pursue their education, maybe financially or due to their family circumstances. So I feel each and every woman, working woman at least, if they are already educated and if they are financially stable, they could help another female child who is not able to pursue their education. So this actually, it's like a ripple effect. It can go on, and finally we can attain the goal what we want. So if we educate a female child, I feel they can improve their family, and then they can improve their community as well, and they can do some magics, like they can also improve the nation as well. So for this big effect, we had to put on some time and effort. So I feel it's very easy to do that for a working woman. It's not that difficult.
Yes, and there's a saying that they say, if you educate a woman, you educate the world.
Yeah.
So it is very something interesting to actually emphasize about that idea, and hopefully that the ones who are watching us would get inspired when it comes into that topic and that matter, and we would see so many, let's say, organizations or even campaigns would actually start and highlight about that indeed. So also when it comes into the medical field, this is an industry that actually is ongoing when it comes into all of the development that is happening with it. When it comes into dentistry, do you feel that you reach to a point where this is enough, or you feel like you are ongoing when it comes into that field?
When it comes to studies or research, there is no end to the studies, because each and every day we come upon new research, new ideas, or new equipments, or new instruments or materials. They are finding each and every day. There is something new coming into dentistry every day. We can't say that I have finished my post-graduation, I have done my advanced dentistry program, so it's done. No, there is no way it is done. Each and every day we are learning something new. When it comes particularly to medical field and dental field, each and every day there is a learning process, and this learning process goes on until our last day of
inshallah, it would be, let's say, a long, of course, journey when it comes to that, inshallah. Thank you very much, Dr. Vadhana. It was very interesting having you here, and it was our pleasure. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome to our segment. Today we will talk about a famous female figures in Kuwaiti art and media. The first one is Maryam Saleh. She acted for the first time as an elementary school student in a play called Obdinis. In the mid-50s of the 20th century, in 1962, she participated in the play Sagir Greish and was thus one of the first two women to participate in the artist's work in Kuwait. While it was very serious that she participated, it was not too late to miss the sound. In her study, she obtained a diploma from the Institute of Dramatic Studies 1968 and a baccalaureate degree at the Higher Institute of Dramatic Arts, Department of Acting and Directing 1979. She obtained a master's degree in directing from the University of Bristol, and the first job she held with the Ministry of Health before she moved to the radio to work in field of directing. And she has worked radio at the first work she presented to the radio was The Heart of Mothers. She also participated for years in the famous radio program A Window on History. On Radio Kuwait, she wore the hijab in 2008 when she returned from Hajj. The second one is Amin al-Sharrah, a prominent Kuwait media figure considered one of the most important broadcasters in the state of Kuwait because of what she presented during his media career. She was born in 1948 and received her education in the capital Kuwait city and joined Al Sabah Hospital there to work there. The artist Hayat al-Fahad was her colleague. Her work in the hospital was a platform for her launch towards the sky of the Kuwaiti and Arab media, where one day during her work she came across Bujasim Band. Amina was able to achieve her dream and worked as a broadcaster for Kuwait TV. During the 70s, her star rose a lot, and she became one of the most important media professionals and had a large fan base until she stopped in the late 80s. But she still maintains her position with the Kuwait people, and she considers a role model for novice media professionals. Hayat al-Fahad, Kuwaiti actress, broadcaster, and writer. She is considered one of the most prominent Gulf artists, and besides being an actress, she also makes poetic attempts, and she has ability to write stories and scenarios. She has written many television works, and she has one poetry book called Abbas, which she was published at the end of the 70s of the 20th century. During her work at Sabah Hospital, Bujasum Ban visited the hospital and her media colleague was Amina Sharrah, and there Bujasum asked them who of them wanted to work and acting. Bujasum and her family agreed and told her that he would return after a while to the hospital to find out the answer. She began her artistic career in the play Al-Dahiyya in 1963 with the artist Mansour al-Mansour, written by Sagir Rashid, while she made her debut on television through the series Ali Bujasum, which was president in 1962. She presented many comedies and tragedies work between serious plays and television nights during her artistic career in the artistic and media field. She also worked as broadcaster on Radio Kuwait between 1965 and 1968, during which she presented a number of radio programs with Amal Abdullah and Jassim Kamal.